And we go, hey, everybody. It's the Total Basis Podcast with your host, Felipe Malicio. I got Sean Flannery Connery over there as well. God, I did it again, but oh well. Sean, say hi to everybody.
How we doing, everyone? Stay safe out there.
Stay safe. And on the line, on the phone, is Matthew Bushnell. Matt, can you say something? Can you say a couple of syllables right now? Okay, so
Hello, Baseball Life. This is my first baseball podcast.
Yeah, because he normally does a football podcast all the time, right?
Yep, myself and shout out to Randy Hammond and Carl Arnoth, who's been absent lately. But yep, check us out on Football Life for our Deep Thirds podcast.
Yeah, they talk.
Last week was a doozy.
They talk football and football accessories. I gotta check out. I'm like way behind these podcasts. Shame on me. So, I think I might have some time to just do some chores or or actually go on the treadmill and listen to you guys blabber on about the Bears.
The Bears.
Anyway, let's get going. We already got this chat going here. Steve Carey, who's you talk about guys who I really want to defeat all the time. That's him right there. He's in the league, and he won the championship last year. So not only did I come in fourth place in our league last year, but he won the championship, and now he's here just to brag about his crappy ass team. So, which isn't very crappy at all. Unfortunately, so.
And his team name is, just for my reference,
I think it's still Mac Attack. I think it still goes by Mac Attack, which is I think it's a playoff.
Okay, yeah, I got it.
A play on words on his daughter's name, I believe. So, So there it is. I don't know. Can you guys see that? I'm on Excel. Oh, spooky Excel. This was our draft, 2020 version. This is a league I was talking to you guys about the Mardi Gras Madness League, which I helped start way back in 2002. And we're still rolling. I think this would be 18 or 19 seasons. I can't do math, but this is our league. I'm shaded in blue. Matthew's team is shaded in whatever this olive color is. I don't know. So let's get going. Let's just get going here. Sean, this was the first round. All of this, I was fortunate enough to get the second pick overall. I know I talked to you about. I have a really good chance of getting Mike Clevenger. I'm really excited about those prospects, and sure enough, that's who I got because the guy ahead of me picked Trey Turner. What do you think about that stunning turn of events there?
I thought Trey Turner, it was going to be between him and Chris Bryant when you showed me the available guys going into that first round. I could see either one of them going in the one hole. Trey Turner, you can't go wrong. He's going to give you a little bit of everything. Whether it's a points or categories league, the stolen bases, the runs, they're all going to add up. He's going to be dropped in the lineup a little bit this year, but I would still expect a crazy amount of runs and probably even more RBIs than usual this year. But Clevenger worked out great for you. You had targeted him, especially with the news that the great and almighty Thor was going to miss the year. So that was a starting pitcher you lost, I believe.
Yeah. And actually, let me go one step further. So this is my team. I have Carson Kelly at catcher, Christian Walker at first base, Colton Wong at second, Tim Anderson at short, Matt Chapman at third. So I'm a little weak at infield. It's not as strong as last year, but I think I went a little bit pitching heavy. Let me just go and complete the hitters here. Tommy Pham at left, Michael Conforto at center, Christian Yelich, who was highlighted in blue or whatever. He's my keeper from last year. Hunter Dozier is my designated hitter. Eugenio Suarez is on my bench, along with Royce Lewis and Jared Kalenic, who are protected by their minor league slots. I know I got too many third basemen, but, whatever. I'll make it work somehow. At the pitchers, I got Brendan Woodruff, Chris Paddock, Jacob deGrom, Noah Syndergaard, who is currently injured. I'll just put a little thing there. Steven Strasburg, Mike Clevenger, who we just mentioned, Ken Giles, Alex Reyes, Dustin May, is it Keone Kela?
Keone Kela.
Keone Kela, Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. Luis Severino, who I just picked up today. I had Kevin Gossman there, but I figured, well, I lost Syndergaard today. Might as well just get the other guy who's also injured. And Garrett Richards, who always has good StatCast numbers, but he just can't stay healthy.
When he's healthy.
Exactly.
Which I think, that was with Clevenger. I mean, even before the news of Syndergaard broke, you plugged that first injury to your pitching staff. I know he had a knee surgery, but and when we get started again, he's going to be good to go. So you automatically plugged your first injury before you even knew it, which is always a good thing.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that came out. Although I would have drafted another, pitcher instead of one of these two upside guys, and Alex Reyes or Dustin May. But I did draft two closers, so that should help. Saves are worth 10 points each, and Keone Kela and Ken Giles should still be their primary closers coming into this year for their respective teams. So I kind of like my chances there. All right, enough about my team. The rest of this is the rest of the first round right here. Pretty standard. Really nothing to hate too much here. As you can see, some guys have multiple draft picks. I know Balls Out over here has 4 first-round picks. Not a fan of his keepers, but I thought he did pretty well to kind of redeem himself in the first round of the draft. I know we talked about Chris Bryant and his dipping StatCast figures. Are we high on Chris Bryant this year or no?
I think he went right where I would have expected to in this draft. But the pick that I really loved, and when I think points league, I think your normal like runs, RBIs, and batting average that you would see in a standard roto league.
Mm-hmm.
I want those 3, but I want great plate discipline to go with it. And I get that with JD Martinez. I mean, he's the lone big – well, him and Devers are going to be the big boppers in that Red Sox lineup that's missing Mookie Betts, but he's going to give you a 300-plus average, probably 30 to 40 home run. Well, you got to take into account the shortened season, but he's going to give you a lot of home runs, RBIs, and he walks a lot, doesn't strike out too much. He's the quintessential points league hitter. And if you have an open spot to put him at your util or DH slot, however your rosters work, I think he's great for that. Yeah. So he was my favorite pick. My least favorite as this is a points league, Starling Marte. I like him in a roto. I'll never draft him, but I get why he goes high in roto leagues for the stolen bases. But in a points league where those stolen bases just aren't as valuable, I don't understand the first round pick of Starling Marte.
Yeah, I mean, people still believe in him, in Starling Marte. I'm just highlighting. I also noticed that the Texas Power Drinkers, that's Shane's team right there, as I like to call him, Sugar Shane. I didn't realize he also had a bunch of first rounders. So yeah, basically, 2 teams had 8 accounted for the 8 first round picks there. But as you can see, he went with Aaron Nola first, and then he went after hitters and JD Martinez, Starling Marte. So that pretty much took care of his outfield. Ozzie Albies is a guy I like. This is our new guy. This maybe next year he goes by Jeff. He picked Josh Hader in the first round. I know it's the last pick of the round, but that is still a kind of a shaky pick for me. I'm not a fan of that pick. I like Josh Hader, but not in this format. I just don't think the Brewers, like once Corey Knebel, is it Knebel? I forgot these names already. Knebel, sorry. And they also have another guy. Is it Corbin Burns, I believe?
Corbin Burns is kind of in between their rotation and bullpen. But Freddie Peralta is a guy that they signed to the extension. And right now he's supposed to be coming out of their bullpen, which a lot of people are saying Hader could assume the closer role and Peralta takes Hader's multi-inning role. But we'll just see how it shakes out when the season gets started. I
honestly think, the Brewers are just loaded at the bullpen, and they have a lot of options, and they may just go with Josh Hader as the guy that they just count on, like the Andrew Miller role from a couple years ago. That's the only reason I don't like it. Otherwise, it's a pretty safe first round, as you can see. So I guess unless you have any last words in the first round, we move on to the second round if you wish. I'll assume so, yes. And there's Carey's team right off the bat with Mike Soroka in the second round. You're a fan of Mike Soroka, Sean?
Not that pick. Especially in a points league where in a points league you want to target more higher strikeout guys. Soroka does a great job of limiting hard contact and generating soft contact, which is great for, real life baseball and maybe your standard roto leagues where you get the ERA and the WHIP. But I don't think you're really going to get the strikeouts, and Soroka is due for some regression. So he's one guy that it just seems like a really high price to pay for him in the beginning of the second round there.
Oh, really?
But not as high of a price as Corey Kluber, who was my least favorite pick in this round.
Oh, my God. Okay, so really quick. Primo, who's also in this league, is a big Phillies fan, makes a really good point. This is basically the 6th round. So the first round is not really the first round, it's the 6th round. So this is basically the 7th round, but for the sake of argument, because I already have it as a 2nd round, we're just going to go with that. This is the 2nd round with the idea that 5 players on each team has already been kept, plus minor league players. Matt Bushnell and I were on the phone the entire draft, which wasn't expected. I thought we were just going to talk for a few minutes before the draft and then be on our way, but we just stayed on the phone the whole time. And when this pick was made by the Angels fan here, we were shocked as to this is how he's going to spend his early round pick on Corey Kluber. Are you kidding me? I mean, I guess you're saying that you would have gone with Zach Wheeler instead of Corey Kluber, right, in this situation?
Yes. And I like Corey Kluber. I just don't like him at that price. Like, I'm a big believer in Kluber as a bounce-back guy this year. But at that price, I feel like you're not paying bounce through less than, 50 innings last year. So it just seems like a shaky ground to start off on.
And then the other pitcher that was drafted here, the other starting pitcher, I should say, was Charlie Morton. I mean, of these 3 guys, honestly, bias over here, not just because Bushnell picked them, but I had Charlie Morton ranked pretty damn high coming into these drafts. And I think Matt got a real nice steal in Charlie Morton here. And in my world, Morton probably goes somewhere in the high 2nd round and not in the late 2nd round. What's your assessment on these 3 pitchers?
You see, this was the round where I saw a lot of pitchers, Soroka, Wheeler, Kluber, and Morton all go. And I looked at the rest of the draft and I said, why draft those guys there when you have a couple of starters going 2 or 3, 4 rounds later that are just as good, if not have the same level of upside? So that was the one thing. Like, I look at Gallen in round 6 or Carlos Martinez in round 7. Guys that could very well, have the same upside, or Herman Marquez and David Price in 6. It just didn't make sense. And even when we go into round 4, it's like you see Bumgarner, Minaya, and I'm like, all of these guys are going so early. And later in the draft, we have guys that are just as good that I personally rank ahead of them.
Wait, you would rank Sean Manaea ahead of a guy like Charlie Morton?
Oh, no. I was saying that, like, Sean Manaea went too early because you look at rounds 6, 7, and 8, and there's starters there that I would have picked.
Oh,
Morton, my one worry with Morton is just innings pitch. I feel like Tampa babies him because they gave him a big contract. He's like 37 years old.
Yeah.
But if it is a half season or a shortened season, maybe they let him, go all out and kind of – they know he's not going to make 30 starts, so let him go as long as he can for 15 starts.
What do you think of this Max Kepler pick this early? And then just to, I like to play this game, like who else was out there in terms of a hitter? I mean, you got Shohei Ohtani, Whit Merrifield, Adalberto Mondesi. He ended up getting Joey Gallo again, but what do you think about Max Kepler in this virtual
I thought that
round?
was a great pick. That's
Really?
Great value. Kepler's right in the spot where he should be. But the one pick that I really like here is Ketel Marte. I mean, he was one of the best points league players in baseball last year, and you get him in the 2nd/7th round of this draft. And the fact that he wasn't kept kind of blows my mind. But I think that's great. And again, picking Gary Sanchez in a points league over Ketel Marte, I hope Balls Out is not here because that is very much questionable drafting.
He had him last year. I know because I traded for Gary Sanchez last year, and I had to give up a 3rd-round pick and Miguel Andujar. But I figured, hey, both guys are on the IL. Just we'll switch guys on the IL. And Sanchez was not able to stay healthy. But speaking of catchers, this one kind of blew our mind as well. The Evil Empire, also a Yankees fan, he saw Sanchez go, so immediately he goes after Wilson Contreras afterwards. Bushnell and I thought that was a pretty bad pick. What do you think?
I mean, if you needed a catcher and the next catcher to go off the board is 2.5 rounds later at Will Smith, so there's that drop-off there. Mm-hmm. So if you want to get one of those top 5 guys, you're going to reach here and get your guy. I won't hate it if that was his strategy going in, but if he panic picked and saw Sanchez go and was like, oh, I got to get the next guy. goal was to get Wilson Contreras or get a top 5 catcher, then you did your job. I'm not going to hate on that.
All righty. Let's move on to the third
Hey,
round.
Sean. Question on Yasmani Grandal was out there. Would you have took Grandal over Contreras?
Yes, especially in a points league. Where did Grandal end up going? He went in the 4th round. Yeah, that was. I definitely would pick Grandal over Contreras, especially in a points league for the walks.
Of course,
but Contreras does give you that added power bonus. So
I was just mentioning that it went to the Stevens team. The guy who's like a thorn on my side. He took Grandal in the 4th round. I swear to God, every season he does this to me. I'm telling you, like I like the guy. I just don't like to see him win ever. Him and Bushnell are probably the 2 guys I don't like to see win ever. Yeah. So let's go into the 3rd round. So Ball's out, tries to redeem himself with Whit Merrifield. Bushnell gets Sonny Gray to combine with Charlie Morton there. Anything else that you see? Ball's out, comes back and picks up Craig Kimbrell, which might be a steal, but that's another one where Bushnell and I are talking to each other, and we're like, what is he doing here?
Yeah,
going after Craig Kimbrell.
The Diaz-Kimbrell back-to-back there, it seems like a bit of a reach. I feel like you could have gotten both of those guys several rounds later.
I'm wondering if those – I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm wondering if those 2 teams are kind of following each other's lead, because remember, the Ball's out in the previous round went after Sanchez.
Yeah, I mean, that could very well be what it is.
And then they go around and pick the relief pitchers right there.
Alberto Mondesi, I'm a big Mondesi fan, but in a points league, you really got to be wary of how much he strikes out and how little he doesn't walk. It never happens. And in a points league, that can almost totally negate and probably even hurt more than the extra stolen base points you're going to get. And to pick him in front of a guy like DJ LeMahieu, who's like a points league god because he doesn't strike out, hits for a high average, and being in Yankee Stadium and the Yankees lineup, he just infinite amount of runs and RBIs. That seemed to be the one kind of what were you thinking pick in that round was Mondesi over LeMahieu. That my least favorite and favorite pick in that draft or in that round.
I'm noticing for a guy who won a championship last year, he got a lot of early round picks. What are you people doing right now? The rest of my league mates, what the frick are you guys doing here? It's bad enough that he won the goddamn championship last year, but you're also giving him early round picks. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. This is ridiculous. And he also got Hira as well.
Steven's asking about Hira.
I like it.
What do you think about that Hira pick? I looked at it and I had mixed feelings.
It's a keeper league. If he didn't get him, I would have gotten him. But I didn't get Hira because Ken Giles. I saw that there was a run on closers, and I really, really wanted Ken Giles, as you saw in the other league that you and I are in. That's the closer I was targeting this whole time, and it just made sense to. If I'm gonna go back to back pitcher, this is the guy to get. Otherwise, I was really looking at Keston Hira. But so I guess so was Carey, and
that's one of those. If you pick him, you're probably keeping him next year.
Yeah,
if you get what you're expecting from him, and if he gives you that at the end of the 3rd round here, that's really good value too.
Yeah, I like his upside for this year, if there is this year. So we'll see how that goes. But other than that, any picks? Oh, besides Mondesi, that was the one that you were not a fan of.
Yeah, and then LeMahieu was my steal of that round.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the 4th round. There's another balls out, man. Another questionable pick. Another one of those moments where Bush and I are on the phone and we're like, what?
It might have been a reach.
We're pulling our hair with these picks.
It might have been a reach, but I do really like Lance McCullers going into this year. I saw some gameplay, or what's the word I'm looking for here? It was video from Pitching Ninja on Twitter. And apparently McCullers has added a changeup during his rehab back from Tommy John. And it was the only live action that we saw of the changeup in the limited spring training outings he had. And it was just a nasty pitch. And he already had one of the best curveballs in baseball. So if he can pair a plus-plus curveball with a plus-plus changeup, and he's automatically going to have to step up into that rotation spot filled or with Garrett Cole leaving, I mean, that could be a really good pick and a guy that you end up possibly keeping next season.
What was the pick that you didn't like in this round?
Oh God, which ones did I like, or which ones didn't I like? There were 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Let's go with
all
one.
of those.
We'll be here all day.
There were so many. My favorite was Jeff McNeil in a points league. He's great in a points league.
Is that the Mets
But
fan?
it's like Mania, Bumgarner, Hand, and Tanaka all just like made me look at it, and I was like, those picks don't make sense to me. I mean, I guess you see McCullers go off the board, and you say, "Oh God, I need a starting pitcher," and you just look for the best one there because. How many starting pitchers went? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 starting pitchers. Half of that round were starting pitchers. But
well, for me,
5 through 7 really made me like kind of perk up and was like, "What happened here?"
Well, for me, Brandon Woodruff was the last pitcher on my top 24 list. I've shown you my list before, and Woodruff was at the very end. I'm like, well, the guy I really. I saw Hero was gone already. I'm like, well, I might as well go all in with the pitching now, and that's what I did, and that gave me 6 top 24 pitchers on my list. So I was happy getting Woodruff. I believe in him. I'm a big fan of his. Just got to stay healthy. Hopefully, this is the year. If there is a year,
if there is a year.
Yeah. Not a fan of the Will Smith pick here. I know that you mentioned that the run on catcher was running out, and especially with Grandal going, I'm pretty sure that.
Yeah, and Grandal going in that same round.
Johnny over here probably saw that and like, well, I got to get my catcher now. But I think he would have been better off.
He's the tweener between that first and second tier. I definitely wouldn't put him in the first tier, but he's better than most of everyone in the second tier. So I understand that pick there, especially if you're trying to get one of the better ones and you're not just punting catcher.
Honestly, I would have gone with either one of these 2 picks, either Jose Urquidy or Matt Chapman in the 5th round. That's who I would have gone in this spot right here, or even Frankie Montes. I know all of these pitchers were drafted, but if you're gonna go after with these pitchers, these are the guys to get. Even Jose Abreu would have been a better pick than Will Smith, I think. But like you said, at this point, they're tweeners, but once you look at Will Smith and everybody below him, it's like you might as well just kind of skip a little bit. Because they're all interchangeable at that moment. So Brandon Woodruff I picked, and then I immediately go after Matt Chapman as he was the absolute best player on the board still in terms of hitters. I got all the pitchers that I wanted, so now I got to concentrate on hitting. But at this point, hitting is just the cupboard's bare, and I was just lucky enough to get Matt Chapman at that point. But after that, it's like this is around the point after I made this pick. I kind of questioned my strategy about going pitching heavy in this draft. But speaking of that, 5th round, who do you like and who do you not like in this round here?
I loved your Matt Chapman pick. I think the fact that you got him as late as you did, I mean, his batting average did really drop off in the second half last year, but the strikeouts were a career low, walks were a career high. Things that you really like to see in a points league, and he hit 36 home runs, over 100 runs, and 91 RBIs on a team that will be contending for their division title.
Right.
So I don't see him batting 250 again. I think he's a much better hitter than just 249 or 250. I think he's more 270, 35 home runs, 200-plus runs plus RBIs. And I think if you get that from him, then that's great value.
I'm loving these comments. Whelan just did the whole facepalm when referring to Balls Out's pick. I don't know which pick he was talking about, but that's the look I've been giving, that Matt and I were basically giving every pick that he made, which is kind of ironic because his team doesn't look too bad, but these picks are just driving me crazy here. Primo wants to point out that you can't hate on any of his picks yet because he hasn't made a pick yet. I think we're about to mention his name soon because we haven't talked about any of his picks because he has no picks.
He had no picks.
He had no picks. Kayvon Vigio, what do you think about that one? I was kind of questioning that one when Johnny of the Texas Sooner selected him in the 10th.
If you're going to get him, a points league is the league to get him in.
Really?
He is one of the most selective patient hitters, and he's very much kind of in the same mold as Brandon Nimmo. And Brandon Nimmo in an on-base roto league or a points league, even with Nimmo's kind of higher strikeouts, and Biggio's the same way. They strike out about 25% of the time, but they walk and they just don't swing at bad pitches. A lot of people that's why they don't like Biggio. I know James Scott is in this breath, is that he's too passive. He's too selective. I mean, these are guys that do not swing at pitches outside of the strike zone. I mean, they're like the next Joey Vottos in that regard. It's just like their outside the zone swing percentage is like 18%, 16%, something crazy low.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And it's just one of those, maybe he could benefit a little bit if he does swing a little bit more, but at the same time, you don't want to compromise his approach that's got him this far.
Before we move on to the 6th round, I just wanted to point out this Archie Bradley pick, which Matt and I were not a fan of.
Both relievers that went in this round were terrible.
Oh, yeah,
I'm sorry, guys. I hated both those relief pitchers.
I would rather go with Taylor Rogers than Archie Bradley at any rate. But look what happened here. So Archie Bradley goes, and there goes Max Fried as well. So I guess Texas Sooner kind of okay, so I see what he did there. And then look at these 2 picks to start off the 6th round, both Diamondback pitchers, and I think those would have been better selections over Archie Bradley there, in my opinion. So that's just me.
Yeah, Zach Gallen is the one guy that when I was talking about earlier, when it's like you saw Kluber, Wheeler, Soroka, Manon Garner, and Tanaka. I'm taking Zach Gallen over all of them.
Yeah.
And 3-4 rounds later. But there wasn't a pick I didn't like in this round. They were all solid picks. I'd say one of the best ones was Josh Donaldson and Nick Anderson, which, going back to the previous round, is why I hate the Rogers and Archie Bradley picks, because Nick Anderson was still on the board. Nick Anderson is 100% definitively better than both of those guys. And in a points league, the saves don't matter as much as the workload and strikeouts, which I think Anderson's going to have just as – or is definitely going to have more strikeouts. He might not have as many saves as Rogers, but he's definitely going to have more innings and strikeouts. That's just kind of my guess on those 2 guys.
And I'm highlighting this one because that's Primo's first pick of this draft. He went 6 rounds without really drafting anyone, so or up to this point. So he waited this long, and he went with a reliever, which, just like you, I'm a fan of Nick Anderson. I just don't like the situation in Tampa. I don't like the way Tampa does their bullpen. I think they have way too many options that can go into the 9th inning, and it's the same thing with Hader. Like, they might decide, well, Anderson, we need you in the 8th inning, and then you'll get us 2 outs in the 9th, and then Jose Alvarado will get the last out to get the save. And that's what scares me about Tampa, because they're so zany.
And that's very much a possibility. But I look at what they did at the end of 2019, which Pagan, I think, picked up like 19 or 20 saves in the last 3 months of the season, and they were using him in almost a dedicated closer role. And I was like, and then they trade Pagan, but they traded for Nick Anderson. It's like, and he, of course, did extremely well with the Rays. So it's like he was kind of the heir apparent to fill that role if they do move forward with a, actual established closer role, unlike previous years.
Kerry just pointed out that he's the one who selected Zach Gallen. I didn't notice it until he pointed it out. Like, fucking Kerry! You people, stop giving him all these draft picks. God damn! And he goes after Kyle Schwarber, which is kind of funny to me because he's a White Sox fan. But my favorite pick was Matt Olson here, Bushnell. He was telling me.
I liked a lot of picks in this round.
Yeah. Well, that was my favorite one so far in this round. And Bushnell was like, oh, man, if Olson's there. And I must have seen like maybe 8-9 picks go. And I'm like, how is Matt Olson still? I cannot believe Bushnell's about to get Matt Olson. I was very surprised by that one. So that's the one I liked there.
I maybe would have picked Donaldson over Olson, but I like both those picks.
He has Yoan Moncada, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah,
he's good. I mean, DH maybe, but he's good at the infield. 7th round. Tim, who's always a thorn on my side as well. Tim Beer Belly, he's a Kansas City Royals fan. Played him in fantasy basketball, fantasy football, and fantasy baseball, and he is a hard person to figure out. And we both felt, Bushnell and I, and even Tim would say so himself, that this was not a very strong draft for him. But I was hoping that Moustakas would come back to me like in the other league, and that didn't happen. So I was kind of peeved on that one. Other than that,
I would have the guy you picked here. I would have picked over Moustakas 100%. I'm a huge Tommy Pham fan, especially in a points league where one of the best plate discipline guys keeps those walks and strikeouts pretty even, and you're putting him sandwiched between Tatis and Manny Machado possibly.
Yeah.
I just see and he's a late bloomer. I mean, he's 32, but he's only played a couple of full years. I love that pick there. I thought that was a great pick.
Yeah, and
that was actually my favorite pick of the round.
And I was, oh, thank you. That's two. I got two of your endorsements. That's awesome.
You got two.
I got two on it. Hey, after not being high on him, you convinced me to draft him. I'm a big Tommy Pham guy, but the age factor was a thing that I had against him. But I mean, I guess it must have been a determining factor for other teams because he kept falling to me in these drafts. So I'm happy that I was able to get him. I got Tim Anderson with my second pick. That's just I need a shortstop, and we're out of shortstops, and I need a shortstop. So otherwise, I was not going to get him. But yeah, at this point of the draft, I'm very disappointed with how many bad hitters are out there for me to grab. But again, I went pitching heavy. But at the same time, none of these hitters, aside from Moustakas and Tommy Pham, were like I needed to get. Like everybody was just interchangeable for me at that point. Unfortunately, so were the pitchers. So I couldn't even say like a lot of this. Like this is so we're realizing that this is part of the draft where a lot of these players, pitchers and hitters, are just interchangeable. There's really nothing special about them as the draft moves on. But hopefully, Tim Anderson can continue to get a high BABIP for me this upcoming season whenever that starts.
I also just want to say Zach Eflin ?
Yeah.
That pick. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Yeah. Well,
but so,
you're
just
not.
in the next two rounds, just some starters that went after him. Eduardo Rodriguez, who is probably the bona fide ace #1 in the Red Sox rotation. Hyunjin Ryu, who I'm not even a big fan of, but did just have like the lowest ERA in baseball last year. And then Lance Lynn, who was one of the best pitchers in baseball. Underrated. Paxton, Boyd. Zach Eflin? Eflin? What the Eflin were you thinking?
Yeah, that's the commissioner's team. He just asked, hey, let me know if he makes fun of my team. I have no bandwidth. Well, here you go, Robert. I'm making fun of your team. Zach Eflin, I'm like looking, because I go with the top 24 like columns, right? I'm looking for him. Like, where the hell did I put Zach Eflin? I'm like, wait a minute. Let me expand this a little bit more. And he's like all the way at the back of the line. I'm like, oh, my God. Are you really making me work to figure out where this guy was ranked on my rankings? Golly. So that was I agree with you. That was not a good pick.
In a roto league, I mean,
especially with Carrasco there.
The fact that it's like he maintains ratios somewhat well. What was his whip last year? It was a 1.3 whip, which is kind of but I just don't get that pick there. I don't get it at all.
No, I didn't like, especially like I said, Quintana's there, Carrasco's there, Carlos Martinez. That guy, I mean, even though it's C-Mart, he's kind of crazy. I mean, John Gray. All these guys have higher upside than Zach Eflin. But anyway, I agree with you there. We go to the 8th round now. This is where things got really bad for me because I started after the Tim Anderson pick, I started getting computer problems. And I'm still trying.
It worked out well for you. It
wasn't by choice. These were my two auto picks, both Hunter Dozier and Michael Conforto. These were my two auto picks because I didn't realize it was my turn. And Bushnell's on the headset telling me, hey, you only got 10 seconds to make your next pick. I'm sorry, what? And I'm messing around with my queue. I'm still looking at my cheat sheet trying to figure out, okay, so who's available? Which one of these hitters do I like the most out of this crap heap of hitters out here? And it so happened that both Hunter Dozier and Michael Conforto were the two picks that were next on my queue. But I mean, I guess considering who else was available and who was also drafted, I mean, Carlos Santana, I know you made a remark to me earlier today that.
Yeah, I was saying, I feel like the only way because I think you won this round having 3 picks.
Yeah.
And even though 2 of them were third basemen and you're going to have a bit of a roster crunch, I do think they were all 3 solid picks. But if possibly you had picked Carlos Santana instead of Dozier, and that kind of kicks out Christian Walker to a bench role, or maybe you don't even pick Christian Walker, maybe you pick somebody else.
Yeah.
But if you had Suarez, Conforto, and Carlos Santana in the 8th round, that would have been great. Justin Turner was a really good pick here too. But Dozier, Conforto, Suarez, 3 guys not to sleep on. Dozier had kind of the post-height breakout. He was a top prospect, kind of fell back, has always hit the ball hard, increased his plate discipline. Conforto, really good in a points league. He just walks, hits a lot of bombs.
Yeah.
And then Suarez is not as much plate discipline guy, but he has serious power. I think he hit, 49, 50 home runs last year. So definite pop to get late in the draft. Later in the draft.
Robert says that, hey, whatever, Zach Eflin, sometimes you got to take chances in this draft. Like, no, well, that's not even a chance. That's just it's like going to the junkyard and picking up a crankshaft for a 76 Pinto or whatever. I'm not a car guy, but I don't know. I just think about the crappiest car out there, or what's perceived to be the crappiest car out there. That's what you got.
I will say this. I just read his comment, and he picked Eflin, but he was also the guy that picked Ryu. So I'm not going to hate as much because he did get at least one of the good pitchers, one of the actually good pitchers. Zach Eflin, I don't get that one.
Wait, hold on. I'll give him. Okay, just to be fair to the commissioner, I love the Hector Neris. I was ready to pick Hector Neris, and he got him before I did. Right, he did get him, right? I mean, he's saying he did. I'm assuming he did. Yeah, he did. Castro. So, okay, there you go, Robert. Kudos on the Hector Neris pick and the best splitter among all relief pitchers out there. But no, getting back to Carlos Santana, I was not targeting him at all. At that point, I saw that Matt Olson went, and I'm like, well, I'm ready to punt at first base, and I'm willing to, build up strengths elsewhere instead of like just picking Carlos Santana.
Because people just sleep on Santana, and you can't sleep on him in a points league. He's probably a top 20 hitter in points league, especially last year. I think he was closer to like a top 8 hitter with how many home runs he hit in a points league. But people sleep on him and do so at their own peril.
Leon doesn't believe that I had computers. Listen, I have computers doing this goddamn podcast, let alone doing the draft. So believe me, it was computer problems, but it worked out because I was working on my queue. I just didn't see whose turn it was. And by the time I saw it was my turn, it was too little too late. I was able to pick up Eugenio Suarez, which that would give me 3 third basemen, but fuck it. I'm trying to build up strength elsewhere, like I said. Let's go on to this. Is a very frustrating round for me, even though I had the three picks. It did not feel like I did anything productive. But like you mentioned, I was able to make
good. I liked it.
Make the best of a bad situation there. Moving on to the 9th round, Balls Out is back, picking up Victor Robles, nice, decent, speedy center fielder. Matthew got Mitch Garber, who he was on the headset was telling me, I want that catcher. That's the catcher I want. And which goes back to the Will Smith pick. Like, he could have waited and picked Mitch Garber.
Mitch Garber. So, the only issue there is I see Will Smith getting a larger share of playing time than Mitch Garber.
True.
I mean, last year Mitch Garber had the breakout, but still was kind of, not even a full-time catcher. We'll see what they do this year, and we'll see if he plays more. A lot of his damage last year did come against lefties, and he still hit righties fairly well, but it's like one of those, how true will his numbers be if he faces more righties? Kind of the same camp Tom Murphy's going to be in going into next year as well.
And I highlighted Robert's team again because he got Josh Begley. That's another one. That's another pick where Bushel and I are like laughing and wondering what the hell are they thinking. This one was I don't know what he was thinking there. So that's another bad one. He just dropped them today. I don't know who he picked
Fegley up. Fegley over both Kelly and Narvaez does not make sense to me. But hey, just one man's opinion.
Hey, he got Ryu. He wants us to know that he got Ryu as well. So
okay. Yeah, he said he already dropped him. I'm assuming he's talking about Fegley.
Yeah, like I said, he did pick. I forgot who he picked up, but he did drop Fegley today. I saw that. So I mean,
that's funny.
The only move to make.
The one head scratching pick for me in this round was, and it's my favorite pick and least favorite pick, is Kevin Pillar, 2 picks before Andrew Benintendi.
Wow.
I don't get it. Benintendi did have a down year, and his batted ball data really doesn't show much promise. But he's one of those guys I could easily see turning it around relatively quickly, and definitely has higher upside than Kevin Pillar.
Maybe Steven Kohler, who's a member in our Baseball Life group, maybe he confused the Red Sox outfielder. Maybe he was going for one Red Sox outfielder in Benintendi and ended up with Pillar anyway. Let's see here. James Paxton in the middle of this round. That's not too bad.
It's really good value for him. I'd probably pick Boyd over him, but both of those guys go within 3 picks, so can't really hash it out too bad.
Aside from Fagley, who was the pick that you did not like in this round?
In this round?
Yeah, 9th
Kevin
round.
Pillar.
I thought you were.
Especially in a points league, the guy doesn't walk. He strikes out above average.
Right.
In a roto league where the walks and strikeouts really don't matter as much, and he gives you a little bit of everything, I could see it. But in a points league, he's too much of a liability with the plate discipline numbers.
I didn't want to break Bushnell's bubble here when he picked Nomar Mazara, but when he said, I think I'm going to target Nomar Mazara. I know I shouldn't, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I had to bite my tongue and my lip really hard, like, okay. But we talked about Mazara at full length before on this show, and we love the kid, but boy, golly. I mean, when he makes contact, he can hit the ball a mile away. When he makes contact, that's the other question that we have about him. Otherwise, he'd be that next generation of players that we're all happy. That list of Major League Baseball players. The game's in good hands with this young core. Yeah, Mazara's not that. So.
Yeah, you see, if you look at all of the next 5 outfielders picked that are not by Bushnell, you have Willie Calhoun, Trey Mancini, Gurriel Jr., Mike Tauchman, Brian Reynolds, and Franmil Reyes. Every single one of those guys, I'm picking over Nomar Mazara.
I can't believe Franmil Reyes.
Yeah, I guys interject here, guys.
I'm sorry.
There he is. Oh, boy.
Here we go. Yeah. So, all right. Here's the skinny on the Mazara pick. I didn't want to make that pick. As I was talking to you, Felipe, I was like, man, I was deciding because I was only looking for right fielders because I had left field and center field covered. So I'm like, man, I specifically filtered to right field, and I didn't go by all outfielders, so I only got right fielders, and Mazara was number 1 on the list for that pick. So, yeah, I got Mazara, but I'm hoping Peralta, who was one of my later picks, can come in and play right field for multiple outfield eligibility.
David Peralta?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, you got him. When did you get him? Wow,
we'll
you got him, really? Yeah, we'll get to it, but that's great value where you got them. I just had to scroll down for a minute.
Moving on to the 10th.
So I made up for the Mazara pick.
Moving on to the 10th round, Bushnell starts us off with Danny Santana, who you just kind of alluded to. Dallas Keuchel gets picked. Willie Calhoun, who you just mentioned. Here's my pick, Carson Kelly, who I also drafted in the other league.
Thanks a lot.
No problem. I have high hopes for Carson Kelly. It was either him or Tommy Edman, and I'm like, well, I need a catcher. I don't want to wait too long for a catcher anymore because it's to that point where Carson Kelly has become my de facto, I need to get this guy before anybody else does, catcher. So that's what I grabbed, and I was hoping that Tommy Edman would be there in the next round. Unbeknownst to me, I forgot that I don't pick again until the 13th round. So that kind of...
the 2 catchers that went that round, Kelly and Narvaez, I think are 2 really slept on catchers that you can 100% pick later in a draft and be completely fine at catcher.
Right.
So good picks for both you and the Steelers guy.
Yeah, Steven Kolar also picked what's his face, a catcher there. So yeah, good. Yeah, like I said, you could have waited a little longer, and you would have been having your options of Kelly or Narvaez
compared to the Will Smith and Salvador Perez, who was my least favorite in the 8th round.
Yeah, which, as you could tell, I quickly got away from the Salvador Perez train in this draft. Trey Mancini, I don't know if this was a mistake or if he didn't know, but I think Mancini has cancer, and if there is a season this year, I don't know if he'll be able to play this year. So that I don't know how to categorize that, but I just wanted to point out that.
Yeah, we'll see. And best of wishes to Trey Mancini and his family.
Giovanni Gallegos, that one hurt a lot for me. Bushnell picked him up as I was hoping to pick him up as well.
It's a sneaky good pick, Bushnell. It's a sneaky good pick.
Primo gets Ryan McMahon, another guy that you and I talked about a lot, and that was a guy I was hoping to get back if Tommy Edman wasn't there. I was hoping to get Ryan McMahon, but Primo was, I don't think so. I'm a Phillies fan, he says. Anyway, 11th round, Bushnell, I don't know where he's getting all these draft picks, but he gets 2 back-to-back 11th round picks. Goes after Jake Odorizzi and Miguel Andujar. As far as back-to-back 11th round picks, how does that work for you?
I like the starting pitcher pick. I'm not crazy about the Andujar pick, especially when Franmil Reyes is still on the board there. But I get it. It's just I worry about Andujar getting at bats. I know with injuries he should probably be fine, but if the season starts late and these injuries guys are healed, I'm not really sure where he's going to play.
Yeah, that's I still can't believe Franmil Reyes went that late. And if I didn't pick the Conforto, I probably would have waited around from Franmil Reyes. But no, because then I would have needed a center fielder. Anyway, this draft was just bonkers for me. Let's see what else is going on here. Oh yeah, yeah. Franmil Reyes, that's a good pick by Balls Out. We've been trashing Balls Out this whole draft, but this was a really good pick by him, by the Angels fan out in California. Andrew Haney's another good pick I like at pitcher. Mac Attack, Carey picked him up as well there. That's not too shabby. 12th round, starting out with Balls Out, Mark Melanson. Not a fan of this pick, but I understand why he made it. But I just don't know what the Braves closer situation is like, and they're also loaded. And at any point, what's the dude's name? Is it also Will Smith? Are they getting jiggy with it in Atlanta?
Yeah, Will Smith. Yeah, the other Will Smith.
No.
Yeah, he goes way later in, I believe, round 16. And he's by far the better pitcher. Brian Reynolds, because James mentioned it in the prior round. I really like the Reynolds pick. And Nick Senzel is the one where I'm not even sure if the guy's going to be in the major leagues to start the year. So those 2 picks, favorite and least favorite, definitely there. James Scott is saying he's a little low on Reynolds, saying he's safe but also overrated.
Oh, I can see that. I can see that assessment. The thing to like about him is that there's nobody else in Pittsburgh to play outfield, who's major league ready. So I think that's part of the allure of Brian Reynolds. But yeah, there's really nothing spectacular about him. It's just the fact that he's going to get the playing time. But
and he hits. He's more, I think, valuable in a roto as a batting average helper.
Yeah.
But in a points, he's got good plate discipline, and I like him in a points league too.
It's a safe pick, like he mentioned.
Definitely,
it's pretty safe.
It's a safe pick.
All right, so 12th round, like I said, Melanson goes. Bushnell with Oscar Mercado. So I think he qualifies at 2 different positions in the outfield. I like the Luke Voigt pick here by the Phillies fan Primo here. Let's see anything else. Oh, this Josh James one. This one kind of broke me. God damn it! That's who I wanted.
Which one?
Josh James as my starting pitcher. I really wanted him. I was hoping that, but I'm in a room full of Astros fans as well.
I like the Canna pick. Yeah. James is, the high upside. I'm not really sure if he's going to be a rotation or bullpen. I guess it just depends on Josh James on how his control is, depending on where he's going to go. But in this back-to-back picks of Smith and Canna, that's great value for both of those guys.
If I can interject on Josh James, really quick. I understand that's the reason why he just keeps getting relegated to the bullpen, mostly out of necessity for that team, but also because of the issues you just talked about. But Josh James, man, guy could throw really hard, and
he misses bats.
You salivate at that, and to get him this late in the draft, look at the guys who are available: Cole Hamels, Chris Archer, Luke Weaver, Steven Matz, Ryan Yarbrough, Jake Junis. No, man, I'll take this. That's a good pick there. I'm infatuated by that pick, and my only regret is I didn't get a chance to get him. But that is life right there. Anything else about the 12th round there, Sean?
Eric Hosmer. In a roto, Hosmer is one of those guys in a roto league. I can stomach him as a corner infielder because I know he's going to give me some runs, RBIs, and be a 250 hitter without just tanking batting average. But it's one of those really, I have Eric Hosmer on my roster.
Oh boy. boy. Yeah, it's like another one of those safe picks, but a little bit too safe, especially in this league. The one thing is that he hits for a decent batting average, so he can Hosmer can punch and Judy his way to some cheap points, get you 12 points a week.
Yeah, he seems like an easy 10 to 12 points a week kind of guy.
Yeah, but that's all you're getting. He'll hit the occasional home run, and then he'll go up to like 19 points.
He had 99 RBIs this year, which definitely plays more to a roto league. He had a career low walk rate and a career high strikeout rate, and only hit 22 home runs. So it's one of those in a points league, especially after last year. I'd be worried.
Did you give your thoughts about Mike Tauchman? I think Robert's asking about him.
It's one of those, if he can get at bats, he was kind of the diamond in the rough for Cashman last year, basically picked him up off the scrap heap at the end of spring training and blew up onto the scene. But it's a matter of getting at bats. There's just so many bats in that Yankee roster. It's where do they fit? How are the pieces going to fit together into one puzzle?
That was my concern as well with him. That's why I wasn't targeting him in any of these drafts, because I just don't know. The Yankees are loaded everywhere. They have depth. They just can't stay healthy. In comes a guy like Tauchman, but same. Once those guys get healthy, where does he fit? And when those guys are healthy, he doesn't fit anywhere. We're going to the 13th round. If you're ready to go.
He's on the bench.
You ready for the 13th round? Or you want to go back to the 12th round?
No, we're good.
All right. Chris Archer, balls out. That's a decent pick, but like I said, this is around the time of the draft where all these pitchers are like pretty much junkyard dogs at this point. I really wanted Edwin Encarnacion, but Primo decided, no, he's my first baseman. Or unless he has another first baseman. No, he's my DH. Luke Weaver, I was targeting. Tommy Edman, I was targeting. Not Steven Matz. You know how I feel about Steven Matz.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny
that ship has sailed.
Oh, a long time ago. It's kind of funny that the Yankees fan picks up Steven Matz there. But yeah, I was hoping I can get Tommy Edman, and I was so close yet so far. So I just went with backup plan number 2 and got Keone Kela, who's another guy I was targeting as a closer. I know he has issues. I know he doesn't strike out a lot of guys, but again, somebody has to close out games for the Pittsburgh. I was going to call him the Steelers.
Someone's going to do it.
So it might as well be him. And if he doesn't, it's the 13th round. Just drop him later and see what else is out there. Not a fan of these 2 picks. I like Yarborough, but I just don't. Again, Tampa, they're weird. They're zany.
Yarborough in a points league, no. But Yarborough in a whole sense of he generates a lot of soft contact, doesn't allow the ball to get hit hard, but he just doesn't strike out enough guys for me in a points league. Granted, if he's RP eligible for you guys, he will give you starting pitching level points because I just see RP here. Because he's a bulk pitcher. They used a lot of openers with him, but down the stretch, he was a straight starting pitcher for him. So if you can put him into the RP slot, you're going to get an extra starting pitcher. That's always the big bonuses of Sparks in a points league.
Really quick, it's a straight pitcher. We only use pitchers. We don't.
Oh, okay.
It's not like our league. Yeah.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
yeah, but it's a good point though. If you could put him in there as a relief pitcher and you get starting pitching
pitcher
value
points, yeah.
Yeah, that's a big plus, but this is not that league, unfortunately. That's why I don't like that pick here. And we talk about Garrett Richards.
Love Garrett Richards.
Yeah, if it were up to me, I would have gone, Tommy Edman and Josh James, but this is the hand I was dealt with for all my wheelings and dealings last year. Garrett Richards is a nice fallback plan, I guess.
And
like
then the last pick of that round, I really liked too. Luis Arias. He walks more than he strikes out. Batted .334 in 92 games last year. In a points league, that's going to play. He doesn't strike out. He walks a good bit. He's going to be a good player and I think Minnesota's going to give him more at bats this year. I think he lost a good bit of at bats to guys like Marvin Gonzalez last year. So we'll see how many at bats he gets this year. But if he plays, that's a great pick too.
Let's see. James Edwin is mentioning Robinson Chirinos, but I don't see him here was it in the last round? Anyway, I'm not going back. So that, of course, Bushnell picks up Andrew Vaughn because he can't help himself. He has to draft every White Sox.
He's got to get the White Sox.
I have to draft it. But
I had a minor league slot open, and I used it.
Confession. Bushnell was, I was giving him updates on our slow draft, right, Sean? And when I told him that what I was doing in terms of strategy, getting those 5 minor league players, Bushnell is messaging me, "You gotta get Andrew Vaughn. You gotta get Andrew Vaughn." So
I ended up getting Andrew Vaughn.
Yeah, only because I let you.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a great pick, Sean. Great pick. You can't go wrong.
yeah. Anyway, 14th round, Mac Attack starts off with Mike Fires, the snitch. Oh, there's Chirinos. I see what he was talking about. Yeah, not a fan of this pick either, James. So Mike Fires, not a fan of Mike Fires. This is why I don't like the Oakland Athletics to overtake the Astros before the Justin Verlander injury, because your ace is Mike Fires. Before Jesus Luzardo gets up and running, but Fires is your number 1 pitcher in that rotation according to roster resource. Last I checked, not a fan of that. That doesn't look like a very contending team to me. But am I crazy here, Sean? What do you think?
I think he's one of those guys that is perfect for Oakland and their ballpark.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's been 3.5. He had a 3.9 ERA last year. And he just eats innings. I mean, in a perfect world, yeah, you don't want him as your number 1. But I don't really think Oakland views him as their number 1, at least not now.
Yeah.
They're going to get a full season of Minaya. They'll get Luzardo.
I don't like Minaya either.
AJ Puck. Who are some other guys I'm thinking of? I think Chris Bassett's towards the end of that rotation.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, aside from Luzardo and maybe AJ, is it Puck or Puke?
I'd like to think it's Puck. Oh, Frankie Montas too. How can we forget about Montas?
Yeah, that's your opening day starter. In my view, Montas should be opening day starter. Yeah. Who cares about the suspension last year? That's your best pitcher from last year, not Fires. Yeah. But that's just me.
Not even close. Yeah, he was their best pitcher.
Yeah, seniority, veteran, leadership, blah 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 blah. He's a snitch.
Leadership.
Leadership. Yeah, I'm gonna wait 3 years before my leadership skills come
out. Tech 9 leadership over there.
1 if by air, 2 if by sea. All right. No. I mean, he whistle blew, but yeah, I don't know. I'm very ambivalent towards this whole Astros and Astros thing. So it's
I am too. I just like making the jokes.
I mean, that's what we're here for. We're here to have fun. If you want more bashing of the Astros, go listen to Dong City, man. They do that every week. They did it this past Monday too. Hey, guys, I love those guys. I love Vince and Henry. I just gotta point out, we got the coronavirus epidemic going on right now, right? And they somehow found a way to talk about the Houston Astros.
Yeah, I was going to say, did they somehow blame the pandemic on the Astros? Because I could see that happening.
I think they might have. I don't remember. I might have gotten too late, but I listened. I got into the podcast really late, and I believe they did talk about the Astros for a couple of minutes. I'm like, oh, here we go again. Every episode.
I saw the beginning of it, and Henry had a mask. I didn't listen to it. I watched it for a little bit as I was scrolling through Facebook, and I just saw him with the mask on, and I started laughing. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, I need to get me one of those. I think we all do at this point. Jesus Christ. Speaking of Jesus, Christian Walker. I get it, Jesus Christian. Totally not planned.
Christian walking on water, Arizona Diamondback first baseman.
You know, Christian Walker got rid of all the snakes in Arizona. That's where we celebrate a holiday for him.
Get rid of all the snakes.
Yeah, how
it's a good pick. You needed a first baseman.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure which ones were left. Votto was taken in the very last round, but
that was a donkey pick by Ivan Bushnell, by the way. The Votto pick was a donkey pick. Hey, you know how Christian Walker got rid of all the snakes in Arizona?
How did he do it?
He walked them out of there.
Hey.
You know what pick I really like here, Sean? Adrian Hauser. That's a nice pick by Primo there. I really like that one.
The pick I hated was AJ Pollock. I mean, this is a guy, he's getting paid a bunch of money, and he's going to be in the short side of the platoon with Jock Peterson. Yeah. Best case scenario. That is the best case scenario for AJ Pollock, is that he starts a couple of games a week against left-handed pitching.
Yeah, this is the newbie, the new guy to the league here, Jeff.
Give him on my bench in case one of those Dodger outfielders gets hurt, but I can't put him in my starting lineup.
And as I was trying to say, this is the new guy, Jeff. I feel like we've mentioned his name a lot today in terms of the bad picks. But yeah, I like these two picks right here, Adrian Hauser and Sandy Alcantara. I like them a lot. Who else was on this one? No, that's pretty much it. I know Reynaldo Lopez got picked. Is there still hope for Reynaldo Lopez there, Sean?
I liked him when the Eaton trade first happened. I liked him more than Giolito, and it's just I feel like he is the most Jekyll and Hyde pitcher. A good comp that I have for him when I watch him pitch is Oliver Perez. Oliver Perez as a starter was just all over the place. He could go out there and throw a complete game, 8-inning shutout with like 10 strikeouts, and then the next game he goes out there and he can't even get out of the second inning. Like that is Reynaldo Lopez, which maybe if Oliver Perez is his comp, we'll be talking about him in 10 years as a really good reliever.
Yeah,
somehow still in the league.
Go ahead, Bush.
I was gonna say. I mean, best case scenario when I look at Lopez is just I wish they would move him to the bullpen already. As soon as Kopech's ready to go, just bump Lopez down into the bullpen and see if you can salvage something, because it's always just walk after walk after walk, and I'm not sure if that will stop with just him going one inning.
Ollie was the same way. I mean, and Ollie's become more of a specialist now. We'll see how he does with the 3-batter minimum. But like Oliver Perez really did reinvent himself, and the stuff was always there, and the stuff is there for Reynaldo Lopez. We see it once every 7 starts, but it's just a matter of kind of maybe getting rid of a few pitches and just focusing on 2 or 3. I mean, I think that could be the next evolution of Reynaldo Lopez.
Completely agree.
Man, I want to have faith in Lopez. I really like the kid, but like you guys mentioned, it's like I don't know what's up with him. I don't know why he can't put it together. But yeah, like I said, it's a good fallback option to bolster that bullpen for sure. As the White Sox do need some bullpen help a little bit here. Anything else about the 14th round, Sean?
Let me go back. I like Brian Anderson. I like Starlin Castro. Laureano goes really late here, which is funny because a lot of people like in the industry, like Laureano has just shot up draft boards, and mainly because of the stolen base potential. And he kind of, I don't want to say broke out offensively, but he sustained. And a lot of people think there's like 20 to 25 home run potential with him. I'm not really sure it's that high, but I feel like that's really good value for where you get him, especially after A.J. Pollock. But Anderson's the great pick there. I really like Anderson's pick.
That might be the reason why he fell, is the non-belief in his power in this league. Especially power means a lot in this league for doubles and triples, you know. I know that's more of a speed thing, but in that ballpark.
And in that ballpark, he does have good speed. It's a big outfield. It's a good pick. I like it. It's a good pick. Solid value. I'm not one of those people that's reaching for Laureano, but if he was available that late, I'm scooping him up for sure.
For sure. All right, let's move on. We're almost done here. 15th round, Joe Ross, right off the bat. I hate this pick. Not a fan. Not a fan.
At least you're honest, right?
No. This is a horrible pick. I'm sorry, Soto here. Oh! So, Evil Empire, he's a Yankees fan, right? His name, I'll give him the first and last name. I hope he doesn't get mad at me. His name is Juan Soto. And for a while, he did have the actual Juan Soto on his team for a little bit before he traded him away or something. I don't know what he did with Juan Soto, but that was pretty cool. That might have been the first time in our league where we actually had an owner own a player with the same name. Yeah.
Oh, so he has Juan Soto on his team. That's cool.
He did at one point. Point. Not anymore. So, anyway. Matt Bushnell goes after Elvis Andrews. There's the other Tampa Bay pitcher, Yoni Chirinos. Again, don't trust Tampa. I like this pick a lot. I know we've been bashing Robert all day today.
That was my favorite pick of the round with Shin-Soo Choo. I mean, in a points league, he's like Carlos Santana light, except he actually gives you some stolen bases, even though he's like 37.
Yeah. This is another pick I was kind of iffy on.
Andrus was the guy I was looking at there. I really like Anderson Roto. I'm not really sure in points. I'm looking at he doesn't strike out a lot, so it's not a terrible shortstop pick, but it's not the best.
Yeah, he was telling me, you're talking about Elvis, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
he was telling me about I think I'm going to go after Andrews. I'm like, why? You got like 20. I mean, he has Gleyber Torres. He has who else does he have? Oh, Tatis. He has Fernando Tatis Jr.
Tatis.
Why do you need another shortstop, Bushnell? What was your thought process? I still don't understand, even though you were telling me at that draft. I still don't get it.
I just like the mix of some stolen base potential there, and it's in a nice ballpark. I don't need him to start. With Tatis's injury history, I need some flexibility if I want to keep Torres at second.
He's a perfectly good backup infielder.
Right, whatever.
And we don't know how that new ballpark's going to play. I mean, Andrus isn't a big – he's never been a big power guy. I mean, he had 20 home runs in 2017.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe the ball flies out of this new ballpark. Who knows?
All right. And, I think that might have been the last guy in this for a while that was kind of had a safe floor in terms of hitters because everybody just went pitching crazy after this. But I was going to point out Miles Mikolas, not a fan of that pick either. I know last time we checked, he was injured.
Yes, he had the PRP injection in his elbow.
Well, we'll see how that goes, but no. So far, the Yankees fan here, Evil Empire, not impressing me with his two pitchers here. I think he could have done a better job there. Here's my pick, Alex Reyes. That was a frustration pick. I was just getting frustrated at this point of the draft. I was still kind of sour about the auto picks. I was still kind of pissed off at me having to draft Christian Walker and things not going the way I thought they would. So I just said, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to go upside, and that's what I did. Alex Reyes. That's what I did.
Maybe this is exactly what Alex Reyes needs.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Maybe Alex Reyes just needs a half season, and then he can't get hurt. That's all he needs. He just needs a half season, and he's going to be great, and then everyone's going to draft him, and then the next full season we have, he's getting hurt in spring training. Because Alex Reyes does Alex Reyes things.
Yeah, exactly. I really love this J.A. Happ pick. Really, I mean, Bush and I were very impressed by this pick right here. This late in the draft. Nice safe floor. Nice safe pick there.
Yeah, I probably would have picked him over Reyes. That's just me, though.
Yeah, like I said, no, that's a good point on your end. I probably, if I wasn't seeing red at this point, I probably would have gone with the safe pick in J.A. Happ if I would have noticed him there. But like I said, I was already like perturbed at this point. And,
or even like you ended up going Dustin. I hate skipping forward, but you went Dustin May on your next pick.
I did.
And
yeah.
Alex Wood goes right after him, and I feel like Alex Wood and Alex Reyes are like two sides of a different coin. Like really good potential, but they just can never stay healthy. And I probably would have picked Alex Wood over Alex Reyes. You
know what the other thing is? I pick a young right-handed pitcher and a left-handed pitcher goes after me. So Alex Reyes, J.A. Happ. Dustin May, Alex Wood. These are the patterns I noticed, right? Sean Doolittle, the closer here. I'm a big fan of Sean Doolittle. I don't like his situation this upcoming season with Daniel Hudson now. And then you also got the other guy. The name's escaping me.
Tanner Rainey.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So I don't know. Doolittle might be the other.
He's definitely on a hot seat. He's on a hot seat.
And they might just decide, hey, let's just put him in the Andrew Miller role, which – it's good for the Nationals, not good for fantasy. Anyway, let's move on to the 16th round, the penultimate round. Yes, the penultimate round. Kerry goes after Anibal Sanchez. It's an okay pick. I'm not a big fan of that pick. It's okay, not the best.
Yeah, it's not terrible, but I mean, at this point, you're looking for like just innings and points, like easy floor of points, and Sanchez gives you that.
What was I going to say? Tim goes back-to-back closers. He went with Sean Doolittle, and then he went with Joe Jimenez. Joe Jimenez has been a guy I've been targeting in a lot of my mock drafts as my third or fourth closer option.
Yeah. So
I know he's a little wild, but I kind of do like this potential there. I did not get the Bobby Dalbec pick. Can you
it was my least favorite pick in that round. And I get it. Bobby Dalbec has legit light tower power.
Right.
If he gets any sort of playing time in Fenway this year, he's going to hit a lot of home runs. But one, I don't see him getting playing time. And two, he strikes out a ton.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot. And I don't see how that plays. And it's not like he walks. I mean, he walks a good bit. But it's just – I don't see that playing in a points league. I don't see him getting at bats unless there's an injury to Devers, which I don't know. The pick doesn't make sense to me at all.
The one pick I did like here is Jordan Montgomery, Kohler's team. That's another one. If I would have noticed that he was there, I would have probably picked him up. With the pandemic going on, that just gives him an extra couple of months to keep recovering from Tommy John surgery. So I probably would have gone there if I wasn't already pissed off at the draft and not drafting with my emotions there. So that's a nice one. Sean Murphy. Finally, I see a pick that I like from Jeff, the new guy. So that's not too bad.
The new guy.
Yeah. There's the Peralta pick that Bushnell mentioned earlier, Will Smith, Brad Keller, who, okay, and then the new guy goes back and does new guy things. Okay, so we're almost done. Now
I feel like the Will Smith the Will Smith pick there is one of the better ones. I like Bushnell's Peralta pick, but Will Smith is gonna claim the closer job sooner or later. And
I don't know, man.
He gives you really good ratios. He's a high strikeout guy, and in a points league, relievers that strike out a lot of hitters are just gold.
Listen,
Will Smith does that.
I love Will Smith, not in this league. It's just the Braves. Again, another deep team with a lot of closing options. And Mark Melanson is a right-handed option. You know what they do to left-handed pitchers for these contending teams? They turn them into those late-inning relief pitchers. Again, the Andrew Miller. So that's the thing. Otherwise, if this was not a points league, I would have been singing Shane's praises right now. But anyway, last round. Here's my whatever pick, Colton Wong. I needed a second baseman. All the good second basemen were gone. Here's Bushnell's donkey pick and Joey Votto. He immediately dropped them after the draft. Kyle Seager, not a fan of this pick. There's your guy, Yandy Diaz.
Yep, he was one of the 3 picks I love. I liked a lot of the picks of this round. Like for the last pick or last round of the draft, I really liked it.
I like the DeYoung pick too. Paul DeYoung at shortstop. That's a nice pick.
DeYoung in a points league worries me, but he has a pretty good batting average floor and untapped power potential, especially if he just plays the Mets for the entire season. He's going to hit like 60 home runs because he just murders the Mets. But Votto, Diaz, and Nick Solak were my 3 picks I really liked here. I think Votto has one last hoorah in him. I'm not sure if it's going to be this year or next year. And in a points league, I mean, he still has good plate discipline. He struck out more than he's ever done last year. But like I said, he's one of those guys who can just tinker with his approach and his swing so easily that he could easily go back to what he's always done.
James Edwards.
And then Diaz. Oh, what was James saying?
James was saying that he's not a fan of DeYoung at all. But yeah, there was a point in the season last year where DeYoung got off to a really good start, and then he just kind of flatlined in the middle of the season.
Yeah, he had a great first 2.5 months, and then just tanked. He ended up batting .230 on the year. I didn't think it was that low, but he hit 30 home runs, career high in walk percentage, lowered his strikeout percentage. He had a really low BABIP. What was his? That's weird. It's weird that you see a career high in walks, career low in strikeouts, and then the batting averages kind of crater. He 14th percentile in expected batting average, so I guess it is kind of deserved. I mean,
yeah. Let's see what else we got here. Michael Chavis, who pretty much is the Bobby Dahlbeck of this round here. Nice hitter. That just I don't.
Yeah, it was weird to see Dahlbeck go in front of Chavis. Chavis at least has a opening day role.
Yeah.
As a shorthand platoon, but yeah. Kyle Seager was pretty good value there.
I don't like it one bit. I think Seager's best days are behind him already. But, I mean, so we're split on one of Robert's picks there. So.
He had a good year.
All right,
and then Solak is a guy who, if Texas can find at bats for him, is going to be a really good hitter. I'm not sure what position he's going to play, but all he's ever done is hit, and that's not going to change anytime soon.
Primo picks up Byron Buxton here. That's a nice, safe pick there for Primo. I picked up Kevin Gossman just like I did in the other draft. I'm a believer, although I just dropped him today with the news that Thor got injured. Noah Syndergaard needed Tommy John surgery. I dropped Kevin Gossman and picked up Luis Severino for giggles, just because I'm just pissed off at the wall right now and I don't care. This draft just pissed me off. Kerry finishes the draft with Mr. Irrelevant Ahmed Rosario, who I'm always high on, but I don't know what the holdup is. I mean, he seems to have all the tools to at the very least be the next Elvis Andrews, and then he just kind of lets me down. You're a Mets fan. What do you think about Ahmed Rosario?
He came up as such a highly touted prospect.
Yeah,
and it was at the same time where we saw the instant success of young shortstops like Carlos Correa, Francisco Lindor. And I think a lot of people saw, how highly rated Rosario was coming out of the minors. And the fact that he was a bit rushed in the upper minors. He didn't play as much as most people think at Double A and Triple A. And now that we're finally he's in his third season, next year will be his third full season.
Right.
And everything you want to see has improved. The chase rate has gone down each year. The swing inside of the swings on pitches inside the strike zone has gone up. Hard contact has gone up. Soft contact has gone down. It's just refining his approach a little bit more so that he'll walk, but at the same time, he has really good bat speed, like otherworldly bat speed. It's what made him such a great hitter in the minors. His hands are just lightning quick, and it's you don't want to put a giant saddle on because he's like a thoroughbred. He just wants to go out there and swing at everything, but at the same time, you don't want him swinging at bad stuff, which he has improved at. So maybe not this year, but in the next 2 years, I think there's a giant breakout from Rosario coming.
Interesting. Very interesting. So that's it. That's the draft. We got through all 17 rounds. That's amazing. And within the hour, too. That's pretty cool. I didn't think we were going to go through all 17 rounds like that, but I'm glad we did. Thank you so much for breaking it all down for us here. I see that James has some comments. He loved the Rosario pick. He loved the Solak pick. He loved the Buxton pick. It was a good it's a good round for young players in this 17th late round. Any other comments? James also mentions when Ahmed breaks out, he's going to have a great average, but they rushed the F out of him. Robert Edmondson wants to know who has the best relief group. I do. I got Keone Kela, and Ken Giles. So there. No bias. Well, who do you have, Bushnell?
I just had up. I've got Gallegos and Ian Kennedy.
Yeah, so it's not you.
Nope.
Not you at all. Let's see here. I don't want to go. I'm just going to pick random teams. I want to see what Balzal has in terms of relief pitchers. Mark Melanson. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. So it's not him. Okay, so I guess Robert wants me to highlight his team. So let's go ahead and just do that really quick while we have some time here. What the hell's his team? Oh, Castroville, right. Castroville, Texas. He has Bobby Bear, Roberto Osuna, Hector Neris, Brandon Workman. You want to impress me with Brandon Workman? Get out of here. I don't know who his keepers are, so I don't know if he kept a closer. But I like Bobby Bear. I was actually of the top four: Chapman, Kirby Yates, Josh Hader, and Roberto Osuna. That's the guy I would have wanted in all these drafts was Roberto Osuna, but it just didn't work out for me this year to get him. So I settled for Ken Giles, who we talked about him already numerous times. So that's you know what? For as much crap we gave Robert, he has some nice players here. I mean, he got Joey Gallo, he got Max Kepler, Jeff McNeil, who you liked, Jose Urquidy, who I liked, Hector Neris. So yeah,
his starting pitching worries me. His starting pitching worries me a lot. But the hitters, I do like the hitters. McNeil, Gallo, Kepler, Lastella, those are all great hitters.
I think CBS gave Robert a C- for his draft.
Yeah, I'm not trusting that at all. I got a D, which tell me this.
I mean, it seems fair.
No, it's not. They hate it because I picked Alex Reyes and Dustin May. They knocked me. They knocked my points because of the bench. But how are you going to give me a D and you give me an A- in pitching and a C- in hitting? I mean, it just. I should at least get like a B or something, not a D. Get the fuck out of here. But no. But you know what? We can't trust that because the season's going to be shortened. We don't know if there's going to be a season. The projections that were there to draft these to grade these drafts. They're null and void at this point. They don't matter anymore. They're still projected for a full season, not half a season or a quarter of a season, or who knows what the hell they're going to do this year, if they're going to do anything this year. So, so that's that. I don't have everybody's keepers. Otherwise, I would start breaking down teams. Unfortunately, I didn't get that far into the spreadsheet, but otherwise, it was another good draft. Like I said, that's like the number 18, 19 draft of our keeper league. We started it back in 2002. Me and this guy from New Orleans, we helped kind of kick it off and started. I remember, so it's kind of weird. I go up to this guy in his 30s or 40s. I'm a 17-year-old kid. Hey, mister, would you like to do a baseball keeper league with me one day? I just met you online. And so, yeah, I had to lie and tell him I was my dad's age just so he wouldn't think any less of me. And not only that, but not just that, but to be able to get a login account on the CBS Sportsline website. Because I used my birthday, and they said I was too young. I was not 18 years old. So I had to use my dad's date of birth as a panic move instead of, like, making me 18.
I'm reporting you to the CBS legal team.
Yeah, so as far as CBS is concerned, I'm like 61 years old at this point in my life. So, but no, that's how we started, and then we just had a bunch of changes. I've been bringing people in. I brought in Juan. I brought in Steve Carey, which I'm already regretting bringing him in. He's annoying as hell. I brought in Matt Bush now. So yeah, we're a nice little group here. I look forward to it. Every single season to this draft. So I'm glad that we were able to do it one more time. I'm glad that these guys are actually joining us on this podcast. Thank you guys so much for
that was awesome. That was fun.
Bearing through the technical difficulties and the long-windedness. Bush, any last words from you before I let you go?
Well, I want to thank you guys for not mentioning my keepers, because I know I would have got killed on a couple of them. But it's all about potential, guys. All about potential.
Why don't you tell us who your keepers were one more time?
All right, fine. Eloy Jimenez. Eloy, Yohan Moncada. Yeah, Yohan at third. Fernando Tatis, who I did trade. I would have had the second overall pick, but I traded that to Felipe in a big package deal for Fernando Tatis. Then I also obtained Gleyber Torres, who will be playing second. Lucas Giolito. And one of the sneaky maneuvers was Luis Robert, who maintained minor league eligibility. So I didn't have to burn a keeper for him.
That is nice to have. That is definitely nice to have.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, it's been a fun league. If just a message to all you guys out there, if you guys don't listen to this podcast, Sean and Felipe, and I'm not saying it because, there's vested interest in my end for this, but these guys do a bang-up job. I love listening to their fantasy perspective. It helped me out in my draft immensely. Like, if you guys took a look at my draft last year compared to my draft this year, 1,000 times better. 1,000 times better. And
that's what we hope for. That's what we hope for.
I know it was better because
I really appreciate it.
I was going to say, I know it was better because you kept taking my players. So you kept targeting my players. Like, I taught them too well. So, yeah, hopefully this is going to be a bang-up year for you. I know that you were kind of like the butt of jokes last year, but hopefully this is a redemption year for you. So good luck with that. Matt, thank you so much for joining us today. And I'll go ahead and let you go right now.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Have a good night. Let's see. Yes, I want to remove him. Sean, last words from you.
I love doing draft recaps. They're so much fun, especially when I don't have a team involved and I can sit back and be the Simon Cowell of fantasy baseball and be like, it's going to be a no from me. Sorry. You look like a bush monkey. It's like, I feel like I completely shat on some people's teams. It's not personal. It is
personal.
It's fantasy baseball. It's always personal. Who am I kidding?
No, screw these guys. Of course. Yeah, these guys are thrown on my side every goddamn March. And I'm going to let them know. Let's see. I'm just reading the last comments and putting them on the record here to see if anything worth of value is here. Brad Miller.
Yeah, we were going back and forth on Brad Miller and Paul.
Why are we talking about Brad Miller here?
He's on the Cardinals. Yeah.
I don't.
He's a bench bet.
Yeah. Sorry, no. Let's see here. Yeah, Robert, the commissioner, saying that the CBS killed him for the Josh Begley pick. Let's see. Carey says he got a B+ in hitting and a B+ in pitching, but I think his team's pretty good. Last I checked, so he'll be fine. Let's see. And okay, so here's Robert. He's saying that these are the commissioner's keepers. He got Justin Verlander, Josh Bell, Javier Baez, and Pete Alonso. And he puts a question mark. I guess he forgot who the last guy was, but it's an okay group. Nice.
Yeah, I'm just not crazy about Baez in a points league. That's my big thing.
You'd be surprised, man. You'd be surprised, especially guys. He mentioned earlier, Robert did that we we voted to kind of scale back on the strikeout negative points. So I think they're now worth a negative quarter of a point. Whereas before, I don't know, he'll have to correct me on that one. Whereas before, when we first started, they were worth negative 1 points, which in a 2003 world, that makes sense, right? Not in a 2013 world or 2000.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of places that they've changed it to negative 0.5.
Yeah, we did that too for a while.
Point. Yeah.
So, at any rate, thank you guys so much for joining us. It's a good place to stop. Sean, thanks for coming in and co-hosting with me. We'll see you guys soon. Take care, everybody. Stay safe.